Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Once again, welcome back to the 2-Minute Drill. This is week number 11 of the NFL season. My name is Corbett Thompson. Glad you could be here, of course, at Lexy.com, and just finishing up the Giants-Eagles game. And, of course, as a Giants fan, I have a lot to say, but I don't have any time to say it. So that's the problem there. But basically a disgraceful fourth quarter from the Giants, to say the least. That's the bottom line. Just an absolute disgrace, but that's for another time. But in any event, another weird weekend, I guess you could say, in week number 11, and some thrillers out there, of course. But we'll run it all down and do that. But of course, the website 2-Minute Drill, the number 2minutedrill.lexy.com, or if you're on Facebook at facebook.com/Lexy2MD. So in any event, you know what? I'm not, as usual, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the monologue. As a matter of fact, I'll probably just skip it all together and just get right to it. Week 11 of the NFL, and we start with the Thursday game, of course. We'll be doing that from here on out. Chicago and Miami. The Bears won that game 16-0 in Miami. They only allowed 187 yards to the Dolphins, only one first down, and they now lead the NFL in points allowed per game. So Chicago seems to be back on track in the NFC North at 7-3. Meanwhile, the Sunday games now. Baltimore and Carolina, speaking of a team back on track, Baltimore 37-13 winners here over Carolina. The defense actually returned consecutive interceptions, if you want, consecutive drives, 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. DeJuan Landry and Ray Lewis, respectively. So as I said, the Baltimore defense seems to be back where it wants to be, and Baltimore improves to 7-3. Meanwhile, Buffalo and Carolina, here's an interesting one. Buffalo was trailing in this game. They were down 28-7 in the second quarter, but they come back. Not only do they come back, but they basically shatter past Cincinnati, and as if they were standing still. 49-31, the Bills win it here to get their second win in a row, their second win of the season after beating Detroit last week. They've won 10 straight over the Bengals. Steve Johnson, 8 catches, 137 yards with 3 touchdowns for the Bills in that one. Now Detroit and Dallas, and the expected result here, I'm sure the majority picked Dallas, 35-19 here. Dallas now 3-7. They've won 2 straight. And Detroit 26 straight road losses. They led this game 12-7 in the third quarter, just couldn't hang on. Brian McCann for the Cowboys, a 97-yard. Actually, Detroit punted this ball, and they tried to touch it back. They tried to bat it out of the end zone to avoid the touchback. And when you bat it out of the end zone, that doesn't mean you down it. It's still a live ball. And Brian McCann picked it up, and he ran 97 yards to the house for the touchdown. So a smart play on his part, and it helped the Cowboys to a 35-19 win there. So 2-0 for new head coach Jason Garrett. Now Cleveland and Jacksonville, the Browns, yet again, they play tough, but they lose. And it's a fine line in this league between winning and losing. I think we've seen that even this, just this year alone. And as the saying goes, winners find ways to win and losers find a way to lose, just as the Giants did tonight. But in any event, Jacksonville 24-20 winners here over Cleveland. Maurice Jones-Drew 23 carries, 133 yards. And a touchdown. Also, 3 catches in the air for 87 yards for Drew, so over 200 yards of total offense from NJD. And so Jacksonville, at 6-4, looking pretty good. But as I said, Cleveland just another tough loss for the Browns, boy. They're fighting the good fight, just not getting the results. Arizona and Kansas City, the Chiefs roll in this one, 31-13 over the Cards. Now, KC's 5-0 at home. That should make KC boy happy there. Dwayne Bowe, 6 catches, 109 yards with a pair of touchdowns. He's got 563 yards and 10 touchdowns in his last 6 games. So Kansas City has to be pretty happy with that. They are now 6-4. Green Bay and Minnesota, this one was all Green Bay, 31-3 over the Vikings, and I think it's just a matter of time now. I think, we all think it's just a matter of time before the shoe drops in Minnesota on Brad Childress and Brett Favre for that matter. Meanwhile, Green Bay 7-3 atop the NFC North along with Chicago, and the Packers sweep the season series against the Vikings. They had it done to them last year. Aaron Rodgers 22-31, 301 yards, 4 touchdowns for the Packers. Houston and the Jets. Now, I tell you what, the Jets kind of gone under the radar in the AFC behind New England. Of course, Baltimore too. I think they're kind of flown under the radar here just a little bit, and I'm sure that's the way the Jets like it. 30-27 winners here over the Texans. Now, the Jets had a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter. They blew it. They managed to win the game anyway. Their third straight win on the final drive of the game. If you remember, they won the previous two in overtime. Santonio Holmes with a 6-yard touchdown catch with 10 seconds left to win it for the Jets. Mark Sanchez had over 300 yards in this game, so the Jets rolling right along at 8-2. Now, Oakland and Pittsburgh, the Steelers easily in this one, 35-3 over Oakland, so Oakland comes back down to earth just a little bit. James Harrison, 5 tackles, 2 sacks, an interception, and a forced fumble. He did get called for I believe it was a helmet-to-helmet, so that he'll hear from the league on that one. But Ben Roethlisberger, 3 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown, so Pittsburgh with the easy win there. Washington and Tennessee, interesting result here, especially after the game. The Skins win it in OT. I didn't expect the Skins to win this game, but they did. 19-16 in overtime. Graham Gano, a 48-yard field goal in overtime to win it. Now, the Redskins actually had 7 players leave this game with injuries, at least 7. So, a lot of banged-up guys on the Washington roster right now, but they do win the game. Vince Young was injured for Tennessee. He left the game. Rusty Smith took over, but wasn't enough. And on top of that, Vince Young catching an attitude, and from what I've actually heard and everything, that he and Jeff Fisher had it out after the game, and Fisher even going as far as to say that Vince Young will not be the starting quarterback the rest of the year. We'll see how long he sticks to that, if it's even true. Who knows about these types of things, but we'll see what happens with Tennessee. They are 5-5 and on a teeter-totter right now in more ways than one. Seattle and New Orleans. It's amazing that the Seahawks are actually 5-5 here, but they are, so they're still very much in it in the NFC West. New Orleans wins it 34-19. Drew Brees, 382 yards, 4 touchdowns. Marcus Colston, 8 catches, 113 with 2 TDs, and the Saints roll here. I'm sure there's no surprises here as far as the end result of that game. Tampa Bay and San Francisco, another one, no surprise. Tampa Bay goes to 7-3, 21-0 winners here, and they snap an 8-game skid at San Francisco. Rondé Barber actually becomes the first in NFL history to have 40 interceptions and 25 sacks in his career. So it's interesting with the Barber brothers when you think of Rondé and Tiki, and the fact that Rondé stuck around, and Tiki had a great career too, but Rondé's really made a name for himself on the defensive side. Meanwhile, for San Francisco, their first shutout at home since 1977, just to kind of show you where things are right now with the Niners. Atlanta and St. Louis. Atlanta's 8-2, 34-17 winners here. Michael Turner, 28 carries, 131 yards with the touchdown. They score 18 unanswered points in the second half to come back and win the game. So good job by Atlanta there over St. Louis. Indianapolis and New England. Of course, the big battle here this week. Now, the Patriots win it 31-28. Now, I tell you what, despite the heroics of Peyton Manning, New England, they jump out to a 14-0 lead in this game. They force 3 turnovers, but Peyton Manning does become the second all-time in 3 touchdown games. He's only behind Dan Marino, so the second all-time as far as the number of games where he's thrown 3 touchdowns, but not enough here. Indianapolis falls to 6-4. Meanwhile, New England rolling along at 8-2. Could you? New England. If you can imagine this, the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, and the Atlanta Falcons, all 8-2. Who doesn't belong in this picture? But I'm sure nobody thought either the Jets or Falcons would be 8-2 at this point, but they are. So anyway, the Sunday night game. And like I said, from a Giants standpoint, a total debacle. Philly wins it 27-17 here. Now, Jeremy Maclin for the Eagles, 9 catches, 120 yards, and the defense forced 5 turnovers in this one. David Akers had 4 field goals, and even though they didn't let Mike Vick go completely nuts, he did enough. It seemed like he was able to pull out his laptop and type emails up to the entire 53-man roster and the coaches in the first half before a Giant got to lay a hand on him. That's number one. And then, like I said, they played like the defense played like garbage in the fourth quarter, and that pretty much, you got a big offside penalty on Jason Pierre-Paul. Now, he's a rookie, okay, so maybe you cut him a little slack, but then the next play, and so, like I said, the defense was just a joke in that fourth quarter, and so I don't have very many complimentary things to say other than, that they are still 6-4, still very much in it in the NFC. But I tell you this, if this team goes in the tank again this year, 95% of it will be squarely on Tom Coughlin, and it will be warranted if he was fired. But like I said, that's another conversation. Anyway, so that takes care of week number 11 in the NFL. The Monday night game, of course, Denver and San Diego still to come, and interesting dynamic there, in that both of those teams look to be down and out. But you figure San Diego, maybe with Rivers, they still have something left. They play tonight, or I should say tonight, tomorrow night, the Monday night game, and then they play next Sunday night. So we'll see what the Chargers have left. But in the meantime, of course, you can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/Lexy2MD, and no Monday night contest. We're done with that. Basically, that was a total bust. So I'll admit that, and that'll be on me. But anyway, that's pretty much it. So you guys know where to catch us, and I'm just probably gonna go with the Wednesday for this week, because Thursday's Thanksgiving. Plus, I'm gonna be out of town, so we'll probably have our show, our preview show for Week 12 on Wednesday instead of Thursday this week, just because of the holiday. So until then, Corbett Thompson saying good night, Godspeed. Thanks once again for listening to 2MD. You guys take it easy, all right? Just trying to get this to my computer. My computer's acting like a sissy this week, but that's another matter. You guys take care. I'll talk to you next week.